Hey! Welcome to EU4 101, which is a series of quick videos for beginners where we learn about the basic mechanics of the game. Today, let's talk about battles. Whenever two armies from different sides of a war enters the same province, a battle begins between them. Every day, both armies will inflict damage to the other in the form of morale and troops until one of the armies lacks either of them. The winning side gains war score and prestige, while the losing side loses both of them, though both sides gains army tradition and war exhaustion depending on how much of their soldiers died during the battle compared to their total force limit. Let's see how a battle is really organized. At the start of the game, most countries will be at military technology 3 and will fight battles of 20 combat width. Combat width represents the number of regiments that can fight in a battle simultaneously. The first day of the battle, your troops will be deployed like this. Your infantry will be placed to fill the front row, then your cavalry on the sides, and finally, the artillery will be placed in the second row behind your other regiments. Any remaining infantry and cavalry regiments will be used to fill the rest, though artillery is the only unit that can deal damage from the second row. If you still have remaining regiments after both rows are filled, they will be in the reserves to replace the ones that cannot fight anymore during the battle. You should avoid having too much regiments in the reserves because they still take morale damage even if they're not actually fighting. It is almost always better to first send an army that fills all the combat width, then reinforce it gradually when the battle progresses, than to send all your regiments at once. Battles are divided into series of 3-day phases. Phases alternate between fire and shock, beginning with the fire phase first. At the start of each phase, each side rolls a die. The result is used to determine the morale damage and casualties inflicted to the opponents. This value can be modified by your leader stats, defensive terrains such as mountain and forest, crossing rivers, crossing straits, or disembarking from ships. In the early game, infantry will do most of the fire phase damage and cavalry will be better in shock phases. Once you get to military technology 13, artillery becomes a very strong unit during the fire phase and becomes the strongest at tech 16. Battles can end in multiple ways. Most common way is, as we said, one of the armies lack morale or troops to fight, but if this happens in the first 12 days of the battle, the losing army is completely dismantled, which is called a stack wipe. After those 12 days, any side can choose to retreat from the battle. You will be considered the loser of the battle, but it can be helpful to cut your losses. Battles can also stop if the war has ended during the battle. Here are the most important stats during battles: unit stats, units pips, morale, military tactics, and discipline. Almost all of them are mostly determined by your current military technology, so you should try to fight with a tech advantage on your opponent whenever it's possible, especially in the early game when value differences are enormous. For example, being tech 6 while your enemy is tech 5 means you have 33% more military tactics and your infantry stats are roughly 50% higher. The most common modifiers that will improve your armies are morale and discipline. You can find them other modifiers such as specific units or phases bonuses in many mechanics of the game, including advisors, prestige, power projection, army tradition, army professionalism, national ideas, idea groups, events, religions, government reforms, estates and privileges, special regiments, age abilities, and so on. Stack many modifiers and you have an army that can rival Prussia in no time. But never forget that it doesn't matter how strong your armies are if you don't have any manpower to continue fighting. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next EU4 101.